There's got to be a better transition than countdown, bang, he's on stage. There's got to be something cooler to do between those. I don't know. We'll figure this out as time goes on. Good morning to everybody. It's one day closer to that big holiday weekend. Governmental offices in Glenn County are closed tomorrow, which is kind of funny because first responders don't really get 4th of July off, but everybody else, I guess, does. And it's going to be big, huge weekend. One of the Dave Capella, my goodness, how are you, sir? It's good to see you this morning. So I guess I'll just we'll say a few good mornings. Hi, good morning. Yes, indeed. Hello, how are you, sir? And of course, Paul always gives me the thumbs up no matter what. I've always gotten the thumbs up first thing in the morning from Paul. So I'll just give you a little update. There's not a lot of update to share, but it was funny. Yesterday, I had my trivia night at Marsh's Edge. And one of the things I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of people who do things at places that are retirement communities and senior citizen facilities and that kind of thing, I think there's one thing they really get wrong. And that is a lot of people go and they condescend to senior citizens and they talk down to them. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not, but there's a lot of times where these guys will go to these retirement communities and that kind of thing and do things for them and we'll talk to them like they're little kids. And what I have come to find out over the years is they're not little kids. They have a breadth and depth of experiences. They've lived life and they want to be treated like adults and they want to be talked to like they're adults. So that's, one of the things I always try to do. And I think it's one of the reasons we have such a good rapport out there with those folks at Marsh's Edge is because, I show up and talk to them like they're adults and, like they're not retired, like they're still out there doing things because they are out there doing things. They're just not working. So that having been said, we were out there and Ralph Brush came up to me yesterday and he said, are you going to make an announcement about the future of the show and tell us what's next? Because I think a lot of people want to know because a lot of people listen. I said, yeah, I know. I don't have anything. I said, I don't have any update. I don't have anything new really to be able to say. So here's the bottom line. Still trying to resolve with iHeart. That is not done. So, no next step can really be determined until that happens. And but I'm talking to people. I'm starting to have discussions with people. And I've got a meeting today. I have so far 3 meetings set up next week. So that's the other thing is it's not going to be an immediate thing. It's not going to be tomorrow we're launching some big thing, unfortunately. But we'll get it on track and we'll get it going. But we do, to me, it's important to listen to everybody's thoughts and ideas on this and then make a decision from there. But I don't want to be in a situation where I make a decision, I go forward, and then all of a sudden somebody goes, well, yeah, I was trying to talk to you and I had this great thing. It's much better than what you're doing. And why didn't you talk to me? I want to talk to everybody. And even something that may not on its face be or seem optimal may turn out to be better through discussion and negotiation or through further communication. So, like I said, I've got a meeting today to just kind of talk about some things some people want to do. Next week, I have 3 meetings, and I suspect there will be more as time goes on. So, because the phone, I did predict it was going to slow up a little bit as we got closer to the holiday, but it hasn't stopped. So, and I suspect it will pick right back up next week as things develop. So, I think we're good, but we just have, we've got to work some things out. We've got to make some things happen, but whatever happens will be good. I felt bad for Ralph because I just didn't have anything for him. So, I will try to have something for you guys, but it's going to be a little time. And I hate to say that because I'm like you, I'm impatient about the whole thing, but there are a couple of things, we've got to come up with something. We've got to resolve with iHeart, and whatever happens next needs to be the right thing. I don't want to step into a puddle here. Someone get an animator to make a microphone running over a raccoon. Yeah, that would be a better transition than countdown than bam me, no doubt about that. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, let's see. We got some more. We got a lot of good mornings. Number 8 is wishing us good morning. Here he is. Oh boy, Ella. We got a lot of that. And I appreciate everybody being here. No doubt about it. Those retirement places should have lazy rivers and water slides. Okay. All right. Oh, Jeannie. How can we help? There's really, if you see something, relay it. That's about it. The first step has to be, things have to be officially, permanently, legally ended with iHeart, and that still hasn't happened. So we'll go from there, but we'll see how it goes overall. Yesterday, I was poking around and I noticed that there was an article, an Entertainment Weekly article, which Entertainment Weekly still exists as an entity. It just doesn't publish anymore. And they did an article, 30 patriotic movies to watch this 4th of July ranked. And I started looking through it, and it was one of those typical lists where you go, really? What? So there's a couple of things. One, I'm curious what you guys would say are movies you should watch on the 4th of July. And 2, are you really going to be watching a lot of movies on the 4th of July? Well, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. At first, I was thinking, well, everybody should be outside. Everybody should be out in the outdoors enjoying everything. But then I also thought it's going to be hot. We have a heat wave coming in just in time for everybody to be outside for Halloween, for 4th of July. So it may well be that Die Hard. So they've already turned it into a Christmas movie, and now you're going to turn it into a 4th of July movie too. I see. Jaws is a really, 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 really good suggestion, actually. So here's their list, and argue with this all you want, because there's a lot of arguing to do with this to me. Number 30 on the list is Argo. We're rescuing people from Iran. Maybe this year that is a really good one. Zero Dark 30 is 29. The Right Stuff is 28. And I will say The Right Stuff is fantastic. The Right Stuff is really, really good. Gettysburg. We did a whole hour one day where people were just calling and raving about Gettysburg a while back. Wasn't that long ago either. Yankee Doodle Dandy with Jimmy Cagney not playing a gangster. And then we start to get to the ludicrous G.I. Jane. And I'm sorry, Ridley Scott, to be more, I get it, but G.I. Jane, really? No. Sorry. Superman 2. And I was looking over this list yesterday with G-Man. I said, Superman 2. And he went, what? Because there's a president in it? I don't know. I don't know why Superman 2. There's a shot of him with the flag, putting it back on top of the White House. I don't know, but he also takes it down from the White House. Seabiscuit. And I don't quite understand this one, but I've never seen Seabiscuit. So maybe that's part of my problem. I've never seen Seabiscuit. I don't understand what's patriotic about Seabiscuit, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Stripes on the 4th of July. Stripes. All right. Lone Survivor, which I've never, ever seen. Private Benjamin, going way, way back. I don't know. Is that a 4th of July movie that you would watch? And then you start to get into the ludicrous. Milk. Why in the world is, if you want to do Harvey Milk's story, that's fine. But is it a 4th of July story? I mean, 4th of July really should be about the founding of the country, the principles of the country. And then, there are civil rights movies and there's civil rights days. And if you're going to do things, civil rights stuff, do it on civil rights days. Lincoln is on there. Captain America, the First Avenger. You know what I love about this? It is probably my favorite Marvel movie. It was early on. It was it was the second one. No, the third one, because it was behind the second Iron Man. Still my favorite superhero movie of all time. And it's a lot of fun. 1776, Independence Day. Okay. All right. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I get that one. The American President is 13. And I got to tell you something. I hate that movie. I loathe that movie. Because, honestly, I think it's like Bill Clinton fantasy camp. Because you got to remember, in the mid-90s, Independence Day is one of those too. In the mid-90s, everybody was making movies about this energetic, charismatic young president, because we had an energetic, charismatic young president in Bill Clinton in the office. Although the presidents they cast were always much more handsome than Bill Clinton and much more widowed. In other words, Hillary did not make the cut, mostly because there was the arousal gap for whatever reason. Chicks dug Bill Clinton, so they would make movies about them being able to hook up with Bill Clinton. So Independence Day, the young Bill Clinton type who actually served in the military, his wife dies in the film. American President, his wife's already dead. He's a widower who just, welcomes romance. And then the evil Republicans try to undo him because he's welcoming romance in the White House, which is, I guess, if you're a Democrat, you could kind of portray the whole thing that way. President did welcome romance in the White House, and the Republicans did try to undo him because of it. But I think it's not quite the same story. Air Force One. Okay, I mean, if you want to make a president the hero, I guess, on Independence Day. Rocky IV. That's a good one. That's a good one. But again, do yourself a favor. Don't get Sylvester Stallone took the movie and recut it a few years ago. And Rocky IV is a slim film, like as far as substance goes. It's a fun movie. It's enjoyable. It is very patriotic. It is very 4th of July. But it's slim. The recut that Stallone did a few years ago, it's a disaster. Do not watch that. Make sure you watch the original cut of Rocky IV if you're going to watch Rocky IV. Selma, again, worthy, not something I would say is a 4th of July thing. Top Gun, okay. Hidden Figures, again, worthy, not 4th of July. Team America World Police. First off, it's a very R-rated film. Secondly, I saw that movie in the theater. And one of the reasons is because I love the Thunderbirds. And it was obviously modeled on the Thunderbirds puppets. And it's not a great movie. It's got a great soundtrack. The songs are hilarious. Although there's one that's just, an F-bomb fest. But the songs are funny. The movie itself, not all that great. In premise, it's a better movie than it actually turns out to be. Patton. Okay, yes, we'll go with Patton. Miracle. See, that's a good choice. It's about the 1980 hockey team. Got Kurt Russell in it. Glory. Glory might be a little divisive because, it's countrymen against countrymen, but I give it points because part of it was filmed on Jekyll. So we'll say yes. Hamilton. I'm sorry. I know there are people that love Hamilton. I don't get Hamilton. I don't see what the appeal is of Hamilton. I don't think the music is any good. I don't think the premise of the play is any good. I just don't get it. Apollo 13. All right. And Saving Private Ryan, they've got number 1 on your list. So I'm curious what you guys, if you're going to stay in and watch the movies, which again, at first I was like, well, that's ill-advised. But then I thought, well, the reality is it's going to be hot. Really, really hot. Let's see. I'm seeing Young Washington on the 4th. That is the Angel Studios movie that might be really good. I never even thought about going to the movie theater on 4th of July until a few years ago when that, what was that movie called? Voices. Oh, I'm going to mess it up. I want to say like Voices of Liberty or something. What was the one? The one, the Jim Caviezel movie that Angel Studios did that blew the doors off. Sounds of Liberty. Sounds of Freedom. Oh, golly, I can't believe I can't remember the name of the movie. Anyway, we actually went and saw that on 4th of July, which, again, that was Mrs. Riffin's idea, but it was very fulfilling. It was very worthwhile. And I understand this movie may be pretty good, too. Watch Jaws on the 3rd, just in time for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 4th of July. All right. Mrs. Riffin is paying attention. She says Independence Day. Scott, they may be dragging their feet because of all the emails they got regarding what they did to you. I don't know. The funny thing is no one has responded to me regarding all the emails they've gotten. And I know they've gotten a lot of emails because I've been CC'd on a lot of the emails. But no one has really said anything either way to me about that. So, but there's some real foot dragging going on, some serious, honest to goodness foot dragging going on. And again, it's frustrating because, you take somebody's life, their day to day activities, their career, their income, and you go, I'll get to you when I get to you. They'll fire you immediately, but resolve it down the road. We'll see. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's appropriate. Spaceballs is a go-to. Is it really? That's interesting because I think it's playing at the Flashback Cinema. What is it about? And so, I mean, that is 4th of July. So obviously you have the same sentiment that somebody else does. MGM, maybe Amazon, whoever owns MGM now, I guess it's Amazon. What is it about Spaceballs that makes it a 4th of July movie for you? I'm curious about that. The Patriot. Oh, the Patriot's so good. The Patriot is really, really good. I would say if you're going to spend a lot of time inside, you might want to watch John Adams. I'm going to tell you, I love that period of American history. The period we're celebrating is probably why I love 4th of July so much. I love that period of the founding fathers. I've said it many times before, and it's no insult to the World War II generation, but they're often called the greatest generation, the World War II generation. And while I agree they're a great generation, I don't see how any generation is greater than the revolutionary generation. A group of young upstarts who decided to take on the entire empire, the biggest empire that had ever been built in the world to that point, and not only take it on and defeat it, but replace it. I mean, look at what happened in France when they took on their king. They replaced it with a bloody mess. We replaced it with a foundation of something great, the foundation of freedom, a foundation of individual liberty. And there are times when it's tested, and it wasn't all in place at the time, but the building blocks were there to get us to a point where everybody had freedom, everybody had equality. And again, it took time to get there, but those guys are the ones who put it in there. They put it in place. I think that is the greatest generation. So I love the Patriot for that reason. I love that era. But I will say, if you have time, a lot of time, watch that John Adams miniseries. That may be the best filmed media ever on that period. And I would love to see even more, but I think that may be the best. Let's see. Patriot, going to see Young Washington on Independence Day for sure. All right. So that's a couple of folks going to see that. The Final Countdown, really? Okay. USS Nimitz goes back in time. They're trying to, what is it? They're trying to prevent Pearl Harbor from happening, right? Stacy, good morning. We just saw you at Three Oaks not that long ago. Sandlot. Interesting. Roth from Wyoming would say 1770. That's what G-Man said when we were going over that list yesterday. He said that Roth loved 1776. And, I think Chuck Jones was speaking well of it not too long ago, too. I think it was Chuck. It was somebody who was speaking really well of it. Good morning. Wesley, who's been building an app for us, he says he's got a Tune Local running this morning. So we'll see how that goes. That's exciting, intriguing. Captain America. Yeah, that first Captain America is pretty darn good. Sucks turning on the radio and you aren't on. The new show's making me lose IQ points. I apologize for that. I am very sorry. I am very, very, very sorry about that. If it were up to me, it wouldn't be happening. You know that. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which is on the list. Bill Clinton. Yeah, he romanced in the White House. No doubt about that. The Crucible. Okay. All right. All right. I have some fundamental issues with the Crucible, but that's your choice. That's your choice. Now, fundamentally, well, I have a lot of problems with a lot of things that talk about the Red Scare, because there were Reds and they should be things that you were scared of. So I'm kind of it kind of bothers me when we get into Red Scare things. Red Dawn. Okay. That's fun. Yes, Team America. I said it. Now stop it. Just stop it. That's not a thing. I mean, it is a thing, but it's not a thing. Diane Reed, she found us. It's so good to see you. The Patriot. Again, a lot of people on Patriot. Yeah, I understand that. Amazed there was no Team America 2. I'll tell you why there was no Team America 2. It bombed. Really, 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 really badly. It did not do well, despite the fact that I did go see it opening weekend. Yes, Sound of Freedom. That's the one we were talking about before. Sound of Freedom. Thank you very much. Let's see. How's Reverend Al? I'm gonna ask him a follow-up question. Sometimes he just inspires it in me. I don't know what to tell you. Last I heard from him right after all this went down, and he's good. He's living his best life. I'll just say that. Let's see. Good morning. Have you commented that Islander is totally online starting with the edition following 629, the last printed edition? Yeah, we have. We've mentioned that. And I'm proud of Pam for making that leap. And I think it's the right thing for her. Ever since Matthew passed, I mean, it's really been Pam. If you pick up a copy of The Islander, it's literally like Pam Shirling, Pam Shirling, Pam Shirling, Pam Shirling. And she's not getting any younger. And she doesn't need the hassle or the burden of all that. And really, the print edition of Islander wasn't really bringing in a lot of cash because, the ads, sure. And the ads are still there. But one of the things that would happen is, the stands for the Islander were kind of on your honor. And so, I think it was 75 cents an issue. So if you wanted to get one, you had to put the 75 cents on. And I can't tell you the number of times I saw like the one at Marshside where people would just grab it and walk off and not even pay attention to the fact that they were asking you for 75 cents to buy it. So I think it's a net very positive. In fact, I talked to Pam earlier this week because one thing I want to do when we get whatever is going to happen here up and running, I want to have her come in every week and talk about the things that she has covered over the previous week and get her insight and commentary. And then, she can roll that into a promo for the Islander for the week. But one of the things she said every day she's getting multiple new subscriptions online. So it has, I think, been a benefit for her. And the other thing is like her Mondays were spent getting it printed, picking up the copies, distributing the copies. And of course, she and Matt both did that on Mondays, but then once Matt passed, it became all Pam. And the fact that she continued publishing after losing basically the 50-50 partner in that thing, and it's just assumed the whole thing has been tremendous. And yes, we have had a discussion. I'm probably going to start contributing something every week to the Islander. So, it's not really a money thing so much as it's good to do for her. And I think it's good to reach out to people and remind people that I'm out here. So we'll do that. Yes. Jaws has gotten a lot of love on this thing. Let's see. Oh, the reason they're dragging their feet is they're jet lagged for the trip to Cannes. That was the worst. That was absolutely the worst. That you go to Cannes and you hobnob with a bunch of movie stars, and you do all these photo ops. And then while you're doing that, you're firing $50 million worth of people, 150 million total. It's crazy. Born on the 4th of July. All right. There are those who will go in for that. There you go. Spirit of St. Louis, little Charles Lindbergh thing going on. Greyhound. That's that Tom Hanks World War II thing. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I've never actually seen it. New Larry David. Oh, the one on the great moments in history. No, I saw a trailer that looked kind of cute, and I've seen several people go, it's horrible. So I don't know what's going on with it. At some point I'll check it out though. I will do that. Top Gun Maverick is a lot of fun. I'll just go ahead and tell you straight up. I was not a fan of the first Top Gun. I just, you know what tipped me? The volleyball scene. I was just like, this is not made for me. This is made for people who like watching oiled up guys jumping around with no shirts on. And I have no passion for watching oiled up guys jumping around with no shirts on. So I'm done. Let's see. There's one scene where they're being fired at, and Dot Matrix says, "What is this? The 4th of July?" Well, there you go. There you go. Let's do a get out the vote rally in October. Sure. It's going to be needed. People have to give a darn. It was on HBO every day in one of the summers I was a kid that I always remember. You're talking about, you're talking about Spaceballs. Okay. Got it. I'm going to watch protesters at the Causeway. I think Palmer sent me a picture of the protesters on the Causeway yesterday and said, "What is this?" And I went, "Oh, it's Wednesday, Palmer." It's Wednesday. This is what they do. They just protest at the foot of the Causeway on Wednesday. They either go to Buddy Carter's office or they go to the foot of the Causeway, or they do both. But that's just the thing. And I guess because they've been doing it now for a year and a half, you would think their numbers would have grown over time if they were making a difference in their movement, but they're not. They're just same number of people out there on the Causeway, same ones there. Forrest Gump, that's an interesting choice for 4th of July because it is kind of a tour through, 20th century American history. I could see that. Patton was on the list. I've never gotten into One Crazy Summer, which is weird because I love Better Off Dead. Isn't that another Savage Steve Holland movie? It's kind of along the same lines, I think, right? But for some reason, I've never really gotten into One Crazy Summer, but I love Better Off Dead. Can't figure that out. Stand By Me. Okay, there you go. Joe, you always pick Joe versus the volcano, no matter what. Starship Troopers. My Starship Troopers. No, Rocky. Come on. No, Rocky 4 was on the list. Rocky 4 was definitely 100% on the list. But I just advise you, if you're going to watch a Rocky, as I mentioned earlier, don't watch the recut that Stallone did a few years back of Rocky 4. It is not good. Rocky 4 is kind of slight. The original Rocky, though, I think, when does the big fight with him and Apollo take place? Is that on the 4th of July? I feel like the first fight is on the 4th of July. That's like his big shtick. Apollo's big shtick there is that, he's going to give some unlucky chump a chance to fight for the title on the 4th of July. And that's America, right? That's the deal with that. And it happens in 76 too, which is even better. And then I think the second one they fight on Thanksgiving Day. I could be wrong on that, but you can look it up, but I think that's right. We Were Soldiers, Mel Gibson, based on the book We Were Soldiers Once and Young. That is the name of that one. Roger says Forrest Gump. Yes, several people have said that one. Rocky 4 is on the list. Glory's on the list. Let's see. What do we have here? Battle of the Bulge and Midway. Oh, Midway. John Williams score. Great score. Let's see. Great to see you on this platform. Wish Lindy Brandon in Savannah would make the move as well. He was also let go from his radio job about a month ago. I did not know that. I know Lindy Brandon actually shared my stuff, and that I appreciate. But I did not realize he was let go as well. That's not good. Not good. Outlaw Josie. Really? Okay. American Tail would be fun to watch, especially with the kids. That's true. Almost like taking a limo to a private jet in order to fly somewhere to give a speech on why the rich are evil. Well, there you go. And probably the same folks. Probably making contributions to those very folks. Beavis and Butthead to America. All right. The Rule the Galaxy Crew in Indianapolis, Indiana. Joe Molinaro and squad. I appreciate you guys. You know that more than you could possibly know. Tombstone's a movie out. I'm going to tell you a dirty little secret. I've never, ever, 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 ever seen Tombstone. And people constantly tell me I need to watch it. Still never seen it. Still, I don't know. And it's just one of those things that just, I've never sat down to watch it. Last thing we need on the radio is another yucky yuck crew. Look, I try to give you something different. I did give you something different. You listened. It made money. It can make money again. That's what I'll say. Apollo 13 is definitely on the list. Lisa says she agrees about Better Off Dead. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I've tried One Crazy Summer a couple of times. I don't think I've ever finished it. I don't know why it doesn't sit with me the way Better Off Dead does. It's the same writer, same director, same main star. But for whatever reason, it just doesn't sit with me the way Better Off Dead does. I don't know why. Rocky and Rocky 2 are based around Thanksgiving and Christmas. Oh, okay. Huh, okay. Yeah, for some reason I really thought the first Rocky was the fight was on 4th of July, but that may be, you may be right on that, because it is, Philadelphia is cold in that movie a lot. You're right about that. Legally Blonde 2. Okay. All right. Paul says Midway. Susan says, can I get a number? I've not given a number today. So I will right now get out the spreadsheet and I will give out a number. So, Susan, you are 151. If I can type, that's what you'll be. Done. 151. Done. Green Berets. Oh, that's the one Vietnam movie that John Wayne made. I remember that. Yeah. Patriot. Patriot's gotten a lot of love on this. National Treasure. Ooh. You know, there's some of those movies that like are kind of Raiders-ish that I just can't take. And that's one of them. I can't take it. I like The Mummy. The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. I can't take it. It's too much, I guess is the thing. It's too much. Jeb Stewart says it is True Grit for him. I get that. All right. I want my $2. Yeah. Jaws has come up a bunch. Wyatt Earp is greater than Tombstone. You're talking about the Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp? You know, that's a hot take there, because I don't know that I've ever seen anybody say that. I'll be honest with you. I know, Henry. I'm sorry. I've never seen Tombstone. I apologize. Jeannie says, what's my number again? I think you're in the 40s somewhere, aren't you? Where's Jeannie? Where is Jeannie? We got to find Jeannie. Hang on. Everything has to stop. We've got to find Jeannie. This is important. No one should be left behind. Jeannie, you're 105. 105. Remember it. All right. Let's see. Blazing Saddles. All right. Sure. I don't know what has to do with 4th of July, but it's fun. So why not? Is that supposed to be Tora? Okay. Stripes is on that list. So I guess you guys are simpatico there. So anyway, yeah, I thought we'd go to First Blood. Oh, that First Blood. Randy says, what are numbers for? Oh. Randy doesn't know what the numbers are for. Oh. Do we spend time explaining that? All right. We'll spend time explaining that. There was a guy who used to call, pretty left-wing guy, who would call every once in a while. And of course, he would just rail on conservatives. And a lot of it was just odd stuff. He was an older guy. And one day he decided to not just rail on conservatives, but he decided to rail on the show. And then criticize the show because it wasn't really... First he criticized Reagan and how Nancy made all the decisions and Reagan was just an idiot, which again is completely contrary to the actual historical record. But hey, why not? And then he went on to say, you don't have but the same 40 people who call all the time anyway. And that really, at that point, I was just kind of done with him because he was literally haranguing the show. He was haranguing you. He was haranguing me, being very insulting. And I let him go. I hung up on him. I don't hang up on a lot of people, but I told him, look, if I were invited to his house, I would not go into his living room and take a dump on the carpet, which is, I mean, when you think about it, when you call the program, and you'll be able to very soon, by the way, I'm looking to start doing some phone testing next week. So just so you know, but when you call, you're a guest. It's the same reason sometimes we'll have people in the studio and people go, you didn't attack that person. And it's like, no, I didn't, because they were a guest. And, we'll ask hard questions, but we're not going to be jerks to people because they're guests. But when you call, you're a guest in my place. And I expect at the bare minimum, you're going to be polite and you're going to be decent and you're not going to be just a raging jerk. Because that's my job, is to be the raging jerk. So anyway, after that, when he said there were only 40 callers, and I was, that's so people started calling up going, I call. So we started numbering. Okay, you're 1, you're 2, you're 3. Yeah, okay, you call, you're, and so we started numbering to see, are there really 40 people calling? And I got to say, I think interactions here count, right? So by the time we went off the air last week, hard to believe it's only been last week, we were at 140 something or 130 something people, different people who had called and who had asked for numbers. That's not even counting the people who called and didn't have numbers and didn't ask for numbers. So we kind of blew that theory out of the water. That is one of the common criticisms of the program. The same people call every single day. And a lot of people do call frequently, but it's not the same people every day. So let's see. Longest day. That's a good suggestion. Devin says I need 152. All right, I'm going to do this. Done. 152 in there. Henry Ball says he's 137. He is 137. That is absolutely correct. Explain it and then make a YouTube short. You know, one of the cool things about StreamYard is that afterwards it uses AI, if you want it to, uses AI to make little shorts for YouTube. And it may well pick that. We'll see. If not, I can make it for sure. But that's a thing. Definitely. Also, just on the note of streaming, because I had two different people reach out to me yesterday about StreamYard, because you see StreamYard like an ad when I show up on Facebook Live. You don't have to have a StreamYard account to watch. It will be on Facebook. It will be on YouTube. It might be on X. It depends on if I want to spend the money to get it on X. But really, honest to goodness, this is a Facebook town. Brunswick is and has been a Facebook town. People get a lot of information and data from Facebook. They're on Facebook frequently. And so Facebook's the main place I really want to be. But I'm also going to be on YouTube because it's a really good place to be. But you don't have to have StreamYard. You just either have to follow me on Facebook, you can see me, or follow me on YouTube, which I would like you to do because I need subscribers on YouTube because that helps get it seen more. So you go to YouTube at Scott Ryfun, SCOTTRYFUN, and you can subscribe there. And I will tell you, when I first started all of this, I had, I don't know, 8, 9 subscribers. I mean, it was single digit stuff. I am now at 547 subscribers, but we can always use more. Always. Let's see. Networks often knows 4th of July Rocky marathons, which has linked the series to the summer holiday in the public eye. I didn't realize that. See, that's one thing I will tell you. I don't watch a lot of TV. The funniest thing to me is when people, one of the criticisms I'll get from people is, you just watch Fox News and spew their points of view. It's like, I don't watch anything. I don't watch a lot of TV, and I don't sit and watch cable news all day when I'm watching something. My news intake is generally from my eyeballs reading. I don't watch YouTube videos. I don't watch reels. I get annoyed when people send me reels because most of them are a gigantic waste of time. I wish you guys wouldn't watch as many of them, but then again, I'm going to start making a lot of them. So, you know, what am I going to do? But yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. So I don't know a lot of things that go on TV, sadly. Or maybe that's for the best. I don't know. Sergeant York. Yeah, there you go. There you go. First Blood's already a Christmas movie. You know, it's been so long since I've seen it. Oof. I know what numbers are for and need one when you have time. Gary, you don't have one? All right. All right. I wasn't going to sit here and do numbers all day, but Gary Vicent, you now are 153. Congratulations. He was the typical island transplant. He was. And I promised not to criticize. Well, now here's the thing, Brian. You can criticize. I have no problem with good, honest discussion that is, you know, two-sided and, you know, we can go back and forth and have a discussion about, but this was just a haranguing. If you promise not to harangue or take a dump on my carpet, I'll give you a number. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Rick Jackson for governor. Let's see. I miss Reagan's morning message. Also, his wisdom applies today. You know, the good news is I can do Reagan's morning message. iHeart didn't own that. I made those. I put the openings on them. I found them. I was actually had several people in the company were inquiring about them because they wanted them as well. And I kind of told them how to do it and what I did. But, you know, those are mine and I have them. That, you know, I produced them with my equipment. So Reagan can come back. Now, one of the things I want to do long term because, the problem with the Reagan addresses is there are probably total 5 months worth. And at one point I didn't have a good rotation of them going. I fixed that rotation. So, you'll get a Reagan repeated maybe twice a year, which isn't bad. But I was actually in the process of trying to augment that with some Thomas Sowell and maybe even some other folks, Milton Friedman maybe, and just kind of expanding it. But yeah, the Reagan thing can come back because it's mine. I made those. They didn't make them. So we can do that. Hopefully PK Man. I think we all want PK Man to return. If you want somebody yelled at, there you go. Okay, we got people. Randy now wants a number. Philip wants a number. I'll give you guys. John wants a number. I'll tell you what. Come back tomorrow. I'll be here because I've already given a bunch of numbers away, and I don't want to spend the whole morning doing that. There's a lot of people here. I love Reagan's morning message. Absolutely. Subscribe. Thank you very, very, very much. Spirit of the Sword, Sword of Discernment. I finally got G-Man sat down and watched Excalibur, showed him it because I love Excalibur. It's one of my all-time favorites. Several months ago, we sat down, G-Man and I, and he hadn't seen it. And you've got to see that. And he got the new 4K transfer, and he bought this really nice edition. And it was the funniest thing was he looked at me afterwards and he said, if they had made this movie today, there would have been like 10 movies building up to this. Because it's like they crammed so much into that one film. If you watch Excalibur 2, it is like it sails. And there are just he's right. There are so many story elements that in this day and age they would have built the King Arthur cinematic universe and had all these movies leading up to it and probably broken it into a billion different movies. But I love that movie. I love the Wagner music that's in it. I love the whole thing. Not Animal Reel. Well, Animal Reels led to us getting a dog. So I'll give you that. And then 2 dogs. Jamie's 134. Donna, good morning. Gary has a number you need. Okay, I'll get you guys a number. Regina, definitely. You guys, it's not that you guys aren't deserving of numbers. You'll get numbers, but I can't spend all morning doing numbers. So over time, yes, come back and we'll get you guys numbers. 2187. Princess Leia's cell number on the Death Star is what he's referring to there. Can we have a show focusing on Justin Timberlake? The short answer for that is going to be no. All right. Joy, you also are deserving of a number. Another day. Thomas Sowell. Yes, absolutely. Sowell, I got to tell you, I have so loaded up on Thomas Sowell in the last couple of years. It is unbelievable to me that there's not more appreciation for Thomas Sowell out in our society, and particularly in the conservative sphere. There really should be more appreciation for Thomas Sowell. And so, yeah, I want to sprinkle that in with the Reagan. And the thing I was talking about the Reagan stuff, and there's like enough to do, you'll hear them about every 5.5, 6 months. The reality is there are like a couple of thousand of those things, but the only ones that are still out in public, you have to find them. You have to dig, and you have to, I found one big repository, but I've found some other ones squirreled away in some other places. It's hard. And I wrote to the Reagan Library and I said, hey, I would like, because they keep copies of all of them. And I was like, can you digitize these and make them available? And they're like, no, but you can come here and listen to them. Yeah, I'm going to fly to California and listen to them and take notes? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, Excalibur is great. Let's see. I don't know. My girlfriend had never seen Excalibur. Actually visited where Arthur and Lancelot fight in Ireland. Oh, that's interesting. Any chance iHeart will change their mind? They're losing money based on your thoughts. I've only seen it happen once. 6 years ago, they had a massive staff purge. Very similar to what's happening here, but maybe not quite as big, even though it was huge. And there was in Des Moines, there was a radio station, a sports talk station that they just cleaned out, just wham, cleaned them out. And internet pressure, they brought them all back. Only time I've ever seen it happen. So the odds are really low, but they're not impossible. And they are losing money because of this. That's the other thing that's just mind blowing to me, is that we were very profitable. They had we do little experiments. I can't tell you about them when we're doing them, but I don't know if you remember last year we started running an ad where I asked people that if they wanted to come on board and sponsor the programs and become advertisers, they're more than welcome to. That was an initiative from within the company. They wanted to see if we could actually do it. And I was the pilot. They came to me and they, you're really good at this. Would this work if you talked about advertising and did an ad about advertising and, can we generate? And they offered me kind of a bounty, it's kind of like, they gave me X number of dollars per new client that we signed, maxing at $1,000, and I got $1,000. So, we brought in a lot of new clients. I brought in people. I brought in money. I was very profitable. And I mentioned the other day that I would try to be what I called revenue neutral. And what I mean by that is I would go generate in sales at least enough, just in my personal sale. I'm not a salesperson, but I would go do sales on the side to make enough money to cover at least my salary every year. And so it didn't cost anything to employ me because I wasn't doing it in the process of doing my regular job. And then all the money that would come in after that was all profit. So, I don't know what they're thinking, but I know that I'm sure what happened was they were looking at the spreadsheet where they're spending money, not the spreadsheet where they're making money and where that money's coming from. And they were going, all right, we've got to cut 50 million because they did $100 million cut and then a $50 million cut. And we were all part of the $50 million cut. And I'm sure that was them going, all right, that one, that'll get us to 50 million. Good. And they didn't think about, actually what's being brought in by those same people. So yeah, they are losing money, at least cutting me, but net overall, maybe they think they're saving 50 million bucks. I don't believe that's going to materialize that way. I really don't. Gary Wise should have a number. I agree totally. And over time, we will get you a number. I promise. What about music to listen to on the 4th? It was my idea to do that. It was my plan to do that. I don't have a way to do it now. So I'll do what we can to get him to 1K. He's talking about on YouTube. Yeah. And 1,000 is when things start really happening for you on YouTube. So yeah, we're at, what are we at right now as far as YouTube goes? Subscribers. It was 547 a few minutes ago when I mentioned it's already 550. So you guys are doing great. Just at Scott Rifen on YouTube. And again, that's going to be one of the main places you'll see it. Yeah, but good one. 149. Hello. Moms Against Gambling will be a sponsor. Thank you. Would you go back? That is an interesting question. And it's one that I've thought about. It's one that I've discussed with my family. And what I will say is yes, but things would have to be different. So yeah, I would go back. I wouldn't go back exactly the way things were because there's not enough of security with that. Things would have to be different. I would have to own the show. I would have to have a direct piece of everything that came in. So yeah, it would have to be different. But would I go back? Yes. Would I go back exactly like it was before? No, absolutely not. I advertise with you and continue. I appreciate that. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. And when the day comes, I will approach you. When the day comes. Unfortunately, the day is not here. I wish it were. As I mentioned earlier, as I opened this thing, I do have a meeting today that I'm interested in, and we'll see what happens there. I have 3 scheduled for next week so far, and I suspect there will be more as time goes on. So, and it's a slow process. It's a slow process because iHeart is slow walking, and it's a slow process because I want to make sure that this is right. I want to make sure it's right for you. I want to make sure it's right for me. It's got to be right for Mrs. Rifen. And we'll see what happens from there. But all you guys who didn't get numbers today, I'll be back again tomorrow morning at 7:00, and I'll hand out a bunch more numbers. I just don't want to. This is already kind of information dump heavy as it is, and I don't want to make this just a bunch of information dumping. So, because I want to have a little fun, a little conversation, a little back and forth, and so I'll hand out a few numbers every day. And so I handed out my 3 today, and we'll hand out a few more tomorrow. Just get here early, and I'll be here at 7 o'clock for you as well tomorrow. I know governmental offices are closed, so you're going to be a little bit out of your routine tomorrow. And if you can't make it tomorrow, I'll be doing this again Monday, it looks like. So we'll just keep on keeping on. I have again gone way longer than I thought I was going to go today. I appreciate it. You know, the funny thing too is because I'm responding to a lot of the comments directly, I haven't really gotten to address kind of the editorial in the paper of record, which I think misrepresents a few things and I think does some bad math. I don't know if you saw that or not, but they literally were talking about, and the sad thing about it is that the overall point they were making in their editorial is correct, but they just said some things in such weird, sarcastic, and mathematically incorrect ways that it made me go, oh, come on, guys. One of them was they said, oh, it took nearly a dozen years to get the rezoning done or the zoning ordinances rewritten. And it didn't. It took 8. And 8 is not good, but it's not a dozen. And I think they were flip-flopping the 20. I think they were making it 2028 and 2016 instead of 2018 and 2026. That's the only way I can figure that worked out. And like in their minds, they did. In print, it was fine. One of the things they did, though, too, was they said, you hired consultants to do the zoning ordinance rewrite, and then these experienced consultants, then you threw out what they gave you. And I disagree with that assertion as well. I think what the consultants gave them was really bad. And I think it was right for them to throw it out. I think they did the right thing in throwing that out because essentially what they did was they made Glenn County and particularly St. Simons Island a giant HOA, which is not right. I mean, just putting things in there like you can't have vinyl siding on a building on St. Simons. Look, if I got a giant spread of land and I want to, put something 2 acres off the road that I've got vinyl siding on a building out there, that's none of your business. There were a lot of breaches of people's private property rights in that first draft. And I'm glad that they threw that out. They were right to throw that out. I hate that it took as long as it took. There are some people that I know who believe it should have taken even longer. But yeah, I would not categorize the ordinance rewrite as you hired some excellent consultants and then took what they gave you and threw it away, because what they gave you should have been thrown away. That's what I'll say. The Brunswick News editorial is old news. Well, there you go. But and Pam's listening. Obviously, that's good. And Pam Shearling from the Islander is again somebody we want to have on every week. I figure we can get her in on Monday because that's print day, and it used to be the day she ran around delivering copies of the Islander. So she's got a few spare minutes now that she doesn't have to run around all day delivering copies of the Islander. We'd love to have her on talking about this stuff. Let's see. Phone line, please. I'm going to scream if you make me join Facebook. Tell those Facebook people the rules used to be you had to call the show to get a number, not just click on your screen. This is the old guy saying, those young kids, they've got it so easy these days. Yeah, next, here's the thing about the phone stuff. It costs. There's money involved. You got to pay to do it. And, but I believe we're going to be able to start testing that next week. So we'll start taking some calls next week and see how it works. And we'll start testing the calls. So, what we'll do won't be slick and polished next week, but that's okay, right? Because we're kind of slowly building something. We have to build it slowly anyway. We'll be doing it without any sponsors because we can't go do that yet. But when we get ready to go to sponsors, there are a lot of people who have pledged things. So it'll be good. Well, the wild west of YouTube, Scott. Yeah, it's we're figuring some things out and we're doing it from scratch and it's going to be fun. That's what I'm going to tell you. So next week, we'll start kind of building some things. And how long will it take to build? I don't know. But we'll figure it out. All right. I'm going to get out of here. If you are going to take tomorrow off, have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to be here tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. We'll sit and chat. For those of you who are here, we'll spend some time together. I may play that Reagan thing that I wanted to play before. It's about 42 minutes or so. It is Reagan narrating the story of the American Revolution. I can't think of anybody I would rather have narrating the story of the American Revolution. So we'll see what happens from there. But we will continue to grow this thing. We'll continue to move forward. We will continue to persevere. And I just appreciate all you guys tuning in, because we've been hitting, the Facebook numbers have been in the thousands, and the YouTube numbers are in the hundreds, but growing. And I couldn't ask for a better start. But yeah, one thing that would be very helpful to me and to all of us is go to YouTube, youtube.com/@ScottRifen, and subscribe. And you can also hit a little bell for notifications, so that anytime I start to go live, it'll let you know. That's kind of why I do the 2-minute countdown. For those of you who are asking, I've started doing a 2-minute countdown at the beginning of this, so that it starts the broadcast, people get their notifications, they have a chance to see the notification, click on the notification, and come over before I get started. And that way you don't miss the beginning of it. All right. Happy, I could not have said it better. Happy birthday, America. No doubt about it. Got to get out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 7. Those of you who are going to be with us. Hopefully it's most or all of you. I'll hand out a few more numbers, and we'll see you then. Have a great day. Be safe. Stay cool today too, because it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot today, tomorrow, and every day through the weekend. So be good. Have fun, guys.